Hello. Welcome back to the Metal Hunter. My name is Luke. I'm going to try something different for this video. I'm going to be celebrating the history of metal 1 month at a time. So this is the month in metal of March. So I'm basically going to look back into the history books of metal and celebrate some releases and milestones of the metal genre, whether it be birthdays or events or releases of albums or singles from bands that are really huge in my life or really huge to the scene. I'm going to start off nice and easy. March 3rd, 1986, Metallica released Master of Puppets. So Master of Puppets was their third album. It was a bit of a pinnacle point or a bit of a turning point for them when it comes to melody and song structure and things like that. And I really think that they built on what they started with Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning and created something new. And this was the album that really caught a lot of fans. I was not even born yet when this came out, 1986, yeah. I don't know why I needed to check the date. It's right in front of me. So this was a year before I was even born. So one of my favorite albums of all time. Absolutely incredible. So March 9th, 2018, Judas Priest released Firepower, one of the best albums of 2018. A return to form, I guess a lot of people said. I thought that Judas Priest really haven't released any bad albums. Especially with Rob Halford. I think all the albums that they've released with Rob Halford are absolutely spectacular. March 12th, 1956, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden was born. Of course, this isn't actually Steve Harris. This is just their first record. Steve Harris is the founding member and bass player of Iron Maiden. He is often cited as one of the best bass players in metal ever, or one of the best bass players ever in any genre, and I tend to agree. March 13th, 2007, we saw the final release from Typo Negative, which was called Dead Again. Now, this was obviously before Peter Steele passed away, very sadly. It's not one of my favorite albums by Typo Negative, but I'm glad that it's out there. There's some fantastic tracks on it. Catatonia released The Great Cold Distance. Catatonia are a fantastic band, and I actually think that around, so it was March 13th, 2008, Catatonia released The Great Cold Distance. It was probably one of the last albums that I really enjoyed from them. I think Night is the New Day was the one after that, and I thought that was an okay album. I saw them on that touring cycle, and they were fantastic live. Next up is March 13th, 2012. Cannibal Corpse released Torture. Got this nice slipcase. I love the artwork of this one. So brutal when you fold out the actual digipack. Cannibal Corpse, I spoke about them in my debut death metal video, and they're just a fantastic band. They're just the McDonald's of death metal. They just, every time you go to McDonald's, you buy a Big Mac, you know what you're getting. Same thing with Cannibal Corpse, just basically right across the board. Next up was March 13th, 2012, so same day. Soulfly released Enslaved. Now, this was a bit of a shock to a lot of people because they went almost death metal. There was a lot of blast beats and a lot of fairly brutal metal on this stuff. And I've been a fan of Soulfly since Max Cavalera left Sepultura. I love both bands. I'm a huge Max Cavalera fan, as you're probably aware if you've been watching my videos for a while. Okay, March 15th, 1976, Kiss released Destroyer. Now, it can be argued that Kiss aren't a metal band, but I think that their aesthetic, their style, and the fact that they were a bit of a risky band really influenced a lot of metal fans. So it'd be really silly of me not to mention them in the history of metal. March 17th, 1992, White Zombie released Last Exorcisto, whatever the fuck, Devil Music Volume 1. So that was their first record on a major label. White Zombie obviously went on to then release their next album, which was Astro Creep 2000, which was basically my gateway into metal. So I love White Zombie, and then Rob Zombie's gone on to film movies.
What's the matter, kid? Don't you like clowns? Why? Don't we make you laugh? Aren't we fucking funny? You best come up with an answer, because I'm going to come back here and check on you and your mama. If you ain't got a reason why you hate clowns, I'm going to kill your whole fucking family.
And make amazing solo records and things like that. Next up is March 18th, 2001, Arch Enemy, Wages of Sin. Now, this one was the first album with Angela Gossow. She is one of the best fucking death metal or melodic death metal vocalists ever. It was the first record that I ever heard from them. Absolutely, still one of my favorite albums. I absolutely love that record. The drums on it, the guitars are like so piercing and so incredible. Absolutely monumental record. March 19th, 1982, a bit of sad news. Randy Rhoads died in a freak plane accident. Randy Rhoads played on 2 records by Ozzy Osbourne. Was it Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman? 1980 and 1981. So there he is, right there. Is that him? Yeah, that's him. Right there. And this is one of my favorite albums as well. Randy Rhoads, his guitar tone, his style, everything like that was just electric. It was just like powerful, I guess, is probably the best way. Now, for those of you who don't know what actually happened, I won't go into it too much. I'll link a story down below and you can kind of get the idea of what happened and how he passed. It was a complete freak accident. Everyone mourns the loss of Randy Rhoads, an amazing guitarist. Next up, March 20th, 2001, Sepultura released Nation. Now, Nation, the reason I've brought this one up, it's not really a pinnacle of the scene or the genre or anything like that. It's the last Sepultura record that I bought like brand new. As in, I went out and I bought it like basically the week that it came out. I did enjoy that record. After that, basically, I fell off. There's been a few albums that they've released since that have been okay. I just listened to them on streaming. They're not really enough for me to go out and get excited about purchasing the actual product. Next up is this one actually just celebrated its 25th anniversary, which is Death, Symbolic. Now, a lot of people say that this is Chuck Schuldner's crowning jewel. I would say that all of his albums are his crowning jewel. Absolutely monumental musician. Created some of the best music ever. Got that on the white vinyl repress from a couple of years ago. Came out now through Metal Blade Records. They got the licensing for it and decided to release it because it was originally done on Roadrunner Records, I think, in '95. So yeah, this album has some, like, Zero Tolerance is a fucking flawless song, and Crystal Mountain. If you haven't heard Crystal Mountain, pause this video, go and listen to that, and then come back to me, okay? Because I got more to talk about. Next up is March 21st, 2000. Pantera released their last album together. Now, this one is bittersweet for me because this is one of my favorite albums of all time. I still remember buying this from Target for like $15 or something like that on CD, not on vinyl. And obviously, I'm a huge Pantera fan. They're my favorite band of all time. I'm a fan of Dimebag. The fact that that's their last record is a bit heartbreaking, but we all know the history of that. If you don't, I'll link it down below. There'll be a story for you. Get your tissues ready. Next up, March 22nd, 1982, we had Iron Maiden release The Number of the Beast. Now, this was the first record with vocalist Bruce Dickinson involved. A lot of people say that this is their best record. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that they have some great songs on this album, but overall the album is actually pretty patchy. Obviously, you've got side 2 goes The Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, Gangland, then Hallowed Be Thy Name. But overall, the record isn't excellent. It's got 3 amazing tracks on it, and then the rest of it seems like filler. I love Iron Maiden, by the way. This isn't me slagging Iron Maiden. I just think that they've got better albums. This artwork is absolutely fucking flawless, and having these guys on the back here is amazing as well. All right, next up, we've got Anthrax, Among the Living. Sorry, this came out in March 22nd, 1987. So this was their third album. Third album. I think it was their third album. Fuck, I might be wrong. But Joey Belladano was definitely in the band by this point. I think they'd had 2 vocalists since they'd started. But this is an absolutely amazing album. This has got Among the Living, Caught in a Mosh, I Am the Law, Indians. This is like really what set Anthrax off. 1987 was a great year for thrash metal. Next up, we've got another Pantera release, Far Beyond Driven. Now, I actually don't own this on vinyl. I know I should be ashamed of myself, but every time I went to buy it, it was either too expensive or sold out. So I'll have to track down a copy. And I've actually got, on CD, I've got 4 copies of this, I think. This is the re-release with like all the extra, what's it got on it? Far Beyond Bootleg, live from Donington 94. So I've also got the fucked up version. Where is that? Let's see if I can find a fucked up version and see if I can get my video pulled down. All right, so I've got another OG version. This was the original version from 1994. And then I've got the one that had the band cover with a drill going up some dude's bum. And then I've got another copy of that one as well. I don't know why, but I just happen to have it. Next up, Obituary Back from the Dead came out March 22nd, 1997. A lot of people didn't really like this record. I thought it was a fantastic album. It was a bit of I think they had a hiatus, and then they came back with this record, hence Back from the Dead. March 23rd, 1999, Static X released Wisconsin Death Trip. I'm a huge nu metal fan. I'm going to do an episode on nu metal very shortly, and Static X will be mentioned, especially Wisconsin Death Trip. I think that album is fantastic, incorporating nu metal, industrial metal, and just straight up heavy metal with like some hip hop and disco kind of stuff in there, which actually really works. Next up is March 24th, 1984, Warlock released Burning the Witches. For those of you who don't know, Warlock was fronted by Doro. She was called Dorothy back then. 2 E's. Fantastic artwork. Great traditional heavy metal, borderlining on power metal. Really, really enjoy Warlock. March 25th, 1991, Sepultura Arise. Now, this is a repress from like 97? 97? Yeah, 97. There we go. Came out on Cargo Records. Has all the bonus shit on there. Max Cavalera looking bad as fuck on the back. And he's got a Cause of Death shirt on, which is metal as fuck. Now, Sepultura Arise is one of my favorite albums of all time. I've spoken about it in depth on previous albums. I won't go into it too much, but this artwork is absolutely fucking phenomenal. March 26th, 1985, another one of my favorite albums came out. Slayer, Hell Awaits. Now, this is my favorite Slayer album. I know that everyone talks about Rain in Blood, Set for Heaven, Season in the Abyss, that kind of shit. I think they're all fantastic records. Just Hell Awaits is the one that really, really got me. Next up, we've got 2 releases from the same band, 10 years and 1 day apart. So we've got March 26, 1997, Machine Head released The More Things Change. Now, The More Things Change is actually my favorite Machine Head record. A lot of people are celebrating Burn My Eyes at the moment. They're doing the tour with the original lineup. And then the new lineup are doing like the newer tracks, which I think is very interesting. They were actually set to come to Australia, but because of this lockdown, I think they're going to be postponing it until next year, which I'll probably go and see. I think that The More Things Change is a better record, sonically, stylistically, and I think that it's because they kind of, I don't know if it's because of all the drug use from tours and shit like that, but Rob Flynn sounded more pissed off, and it's much more moody and bluesy, so I fucking love that record. My second favorite record from Machine Head came out 10 years and 1 day later, which was March 27th, 2007, and it was The Blackening. Now, The Blackening is a milestone in modern metal. There's a lot of people that are split down the middle with this band. Some people love them, some people hate them. I am one of the people that love them. I haven't really liked a lot of the newer material that they've been coming out with in the last couple of years, but I think that The Blackening is a near flawless album. Rob Flynn took a lot of what he'd learned from the years and years and years of touring when he was in Violence and when he was doing, Bay Area thrash bands to when, they got signed to a major label with Machine Head and went on to like tour the world countless times. Had a few missteps. People like to call them missteps, but I think The Burning Red and Supercharger are fantastic records, but I'll talk about that in my new metal episode. And, you know, after Through the Ashes of Empires was a little bit of a return to form, to the more metal tinged kind of thing. I think that The Blackening was kind of something that needed to happen for Rob Flynn. He knew that he was meant to write a really good record. We all knew that he could do it, and he fucking delivered. And last but not least, March 31st, 1955. I would be un-Australian if I didn't fucking mention this guy. Angus Young, that's his birthday, 1955, March 31st. That's it. That's the history of metal. I probably missed a bunch of stuff. Obviously, heavy metal has been around since the 60s, and I am just one man. And I'm trying to keep these videos to a short form. Now, I actually had an idea. I thought that I might start a podcast that would just focus monthly on the history of metal. It'll be more of a deep dive into each album that's been released over that month for the history of metal, or 4 or 5 albums that are really pinnacles. What do you guys think about that? Let me know down in the comments, yes or no. Have I missed anything? Is there any glaring omissions? Anything that I really needed to talk about in this list? I know that there are a couple of albums that I didn't mention, but I didn't want to double up on bands and things like that. Make sure you drop me some comments. Make sure that you subscribe, like, share, all that kind of good shit. I would also like to know, within the history of metal in March, what was your favorite album from my list? Let me know down in the comments. Follow me on social media. I've been Luke, the Metal Hunter. We'll see you next time. Bye.